All right, well, welcome back to Backyard Cars on this blazing hot day in Central Florida. I think we're in the 90s already, and it looks like it's noon. Today, we got a bunch of stuff to do to this that I've been pretending that didn't need to happen since sick week. Yeah, that's been 4 or 5 months. So let's get it all handled today. So go get you a drink and your popcorn. You know the drill. Well, I know some of you are saying, what's actually wrong with it? And, well, a lot of things happened during sick week. One of them was a distributor failure, and, well, I replaced it with an HEI temporarily, and that temporarily is run its course. So we're going back to the MSD and the Pro billet. So as we do things, we're going to check some things and see how the motor was actually running and kind of determine from there what we need to do. There's some tuning to do is what I'm saying, but I got one hand, and we're going to probably start by removing the MSD box and getting that set. We're going to put it inside the car. It's a race car, man. What do you say? You drive them, and now we got to do the maintenance. So, yes, let me get you in here and let's start twisting, turning, and snipping things. All right, now you're with us on the sky view. I got a couple things done. Like I just popped the wiring that was hanging and got it off the starter. You know, everything's pretty much, all the wires are disconnected, so we can just try to one-handed take this off the wall. Probably not going to work too well for me. Where's it at? God, I can't find the hole. Never had that problem before. 6 kids. Okay. Well, all right. This is going probably in about the same spot inside the car because I'm concerned that maybe where it was sitting at, we got a lot of heat from the headers and the engine bay coming up here, and maybe it was heating the old box up. But now that all that is off of here, make sure our little wiring is, everything's still looking all right. I don't want craziness. It looks about as good as it's going to look. All right, I guess we got to go in the car. All right, so going down into the vehicle. Right up in here somewhere is where we're going to put that MSD box. And then we're going to get it over and wired into our spaghetti wire loom. Listen, I know where every wire goes, so I don't care if they're the same color. But that's what we're going to do. All right, so here we are. It took me all day yesterday and half the day today to mount the MSD box there and get all the wiring done. And I'll try to get you up in here. Wired in a fuse block. It's hard to see all that. But we did a bunch of stuff up here upside down with one hand. And it's all great. Now it's all wired in with fuses and relays and correctly done. And now we're going to get up here. I popped all the plug wires off and I've loosened all the plugs. And now we're going to pull the plugs, put you on the stand. We're going to pull the plugs and see what they look like. All right, well, it's actually the next day. It rained on me a lot yesterday afternoon and I couldn't get anything done. So we're going to unscrew the plugs, and where can I put them? Let's put them up here so we can look at them when we're done. Then I'm going to run the bore scope down in and kind of look at them, the cylinders, just to be sure we don't see any marks on anything. Nothing looks chewed up. Looks like it did, 2,000 miles ago before we beat it around on sick week. I'm going to tell you right now, pulling these plugs, I can smell fuel pretty bad, and they all are fouled. And we knew that because it's running rich. I mean, like Elon Musk rich. But we already knew that. So we're going to have to tamper back down to like Steve Harvey rich or something. I don't know if you can even see that. We'll try to get a shot here. Put it against my arm. Does it focus? Let's see. Will it focus anywhere? Probably not. But you get the hint. I mean, woo! That's dark. And I don't really have any sunlight to stick it in to see. But it looks like we could add some timing. Let's get the other side out. Oh yeah. Remember the carb. Actually, I'm bubble it pretty full right now. That's weird. Okay. It's the same thing over here as it was over there. Now, these plugs only got 2,000 miles on them, so. Oh, yep. So here goes these. All right, let's see if we can't get a sunlight shot of these plugs for you guys. I'm going to turn them around so that they're facing out, but everything looks good on them. Zoom in for us. And here goes the other side. Now we know, well, we already knew that she's super rich. We know that. So let's just go ahead and continue on. We're going to get set back up on the tripod. I've tried to show you all this a bunch, and I just can never get the shot, but we'll try again. I'm going to try and get you on the cam so you can at least see in the, the 2-cylinder, or however many we can show you, All right, I don't know if you can see that. That's the cylinder. This piston's all the way up. There goes the cylinder, and that's the piston. And I'm going to try and move it around a little bit. Nope, I can't. That's us going into that cylinder. It's about as far up as looking down at the piston. Everything looks what you would expect. We'll get it back in there. Trying to get a farthest shot I can get that you can actually see. Oh, do I need to block that? There's some soot on top of the piston, but that cylinder wall looks good. We're going to try and go to another one. And, that piston should be down, so we should be able to get a better shot on that. All right, so this is the 4-cylinder. And you can see the piston is all the way down. That's it down here. It looks the same. We got the outer ridge. It's kind of clean, but the center's dirty. That cylinder has got some vertical scars on it, but you can also see the cross hatching. And I'm going to tell you that those grooves, we can go back to the video before, those grooves were there in that cylinder when we first got this block fired up. 2 cylinders had grooves. One was really bad. That was the 4. And I think it was the 3-cylinder on the other side had some light vertical grooves in it. But you can see all the cross hatching still. So what actually happened in this cylinder, if I remember right, is that the engine sat all the way up in this cylinder. And at some point during that 20 years that it was sitting, somebody came out and turned the motor. And when they did, it went down and stuck right there. And they couldn't turn it anymore. When we got the motor so many years later, I filled all these cylinders and I checked them first, then filled all the cylinders with Marvel and dropped it. And when I did, this cylinder showed that scar. So it is what it is. But that's no worse than it was when we when we first got this engine, running again. All right, so now I've looked into every cylinder, and some of them the valves are down, some of them the valves are up, yada yada yada. All these plugs I'm going to stick back in. For now, I want to do a compression test, but if I just go to spinning the motor right now and doing a compression test, I'm going to suck fuel down and wash the cylinders down, and I don't want to do that. So because I have to do a bunch of things anyhow, I'm going to pull the carb off because we got to do some adjusting on it, and one step at a time. Let's just get the carb off and get all that out of the way. All right, I'm going to pull, ouch, I just hit the hood. I'm going to pull all the plugs out so we can spin the motor easily with no resistance. And now, got my starter trigger, and let's see what the compression is. We got 170. Let me zoom in on that for you. Yeah, 170. 170 and hold it. So the one cylinder, solid. Let's see what's going on here. $170. Nope. All right, I'm going through the rest. If I find one that's bad or lower, I'll let you know. 170. All right, I've already done the intake here. And what we're doing, if you got hydraulic lifters, you don't have to worry about this. But if you got solid lifters, you have to set valve lash. And I use the EOIC. Exhaust opening, intake closing. If the exhaust is opening, about halfway down that shot, you're gonna set lash on your intake. When that's set, then you're just gonna take your little trigger or your handy person inside, and you're going to bump the key around until the intake goes down and comes back up, is halfway to 3/4 of the way up its stroke to close. And at that point, you're on the base circle of the exhaust, and you're going to do the exhaust. So I have already done the intake. Exhaust was opening, we adjusted the intake. Now we're going to bump it around so the intake is down and coming back up, and we'll adjust the exhaust. Well, I know you're not going to believe me, but I did both of these like I told you, and I'll be if the camera didn't shut off on me. So I just went around. You know what I'm saying? So now where we're at is that we are at the beginning, where we were talking about the EO part. Exhaust opening, which means we can adjust our intake. And I got the 16 in there because that's what we're doing on the intake. Cold. All right, so turn them both. Oh, this one's a little tight. I didn't want to hit my hand, but I did. That one was a little bit tight, and I probably did that because I was tired of messing around up and down. So I just bumped it in there a little tighter. I'm not very good here because I can barely move this hand. It feels pretty good right there. tighten up the red handle poly lock. We'll tighten up on that, and I like it, nice and tight. That's the 18 should not go in. Nope. All right. We swap over here. What we're looking for now is the intake to go down and start coming back up, and we'll be able to do the exhaust on the 3-cylinder. All right, we're going down, coming up. We should be on base circle on that exhaust, and we're doing 18 on this one. Same process we did before. Way loose. And look, if I can do this with my old crippled hand, you ought to be able to do this pretty easy yourself. Oh, that one's super tight too. Don't want to hit my knuckles. All right. Oops. Oops a daisy, she said. Yeah, we want 18 in that one, don't we? Oh, that's almost perfect. If you get that extra bit of tighten on it. Boom. Oh, that might have been a hair too tight. No, that went right in. Okay, boom. Little bump in. 20 won't go. Nope. And that 16 should be super loose. Oh, yeah. Sweet. Exhaust. Done. Now see? All right, I'm going to finish this because it's going to take a while and you don't want to watch it. And I'll bring you back when we get the valve cover back on and we move to, I think we got to set it on TDC to swap out the Pro billet back in and get the MSD out. All right, well, yesterday we got the rest of the valves adjusted. We got the valve cover back on and turned the engine rolled around to TDC. And then took and just gently put the plugs back on and flip the cap up, and now we got to get back there and get the HEI out and put a Pro billet back in, because that's a better, that one's kind of wore out is all I'm saying. We want to get our timing back on the mark, and this is the best distributor I got right now. And during sick week, that coil went out, the pickup coil, and so I finally got it replaced. I thought it was the box, but it turned out to be, well, it was a loose ground on the box, I do believe, and the pickup coil went out. So right now, we got the engine rolled around to TDC, and we're gonna pull the distributor. We're gonna swap it out now. All right, out with the distributor. I already unhooked everything. I pulled the clamp off and all that good stuff, you know. And now we just get her out. And of course, do a little inspecting. Take a peek at it. Make sure it didn't damage nothing or it didn't get damaged. Gear looks good. My only issue is that, you know, I kind of jerry-rig locked this out, and I think it has play in it is all I'm saying. It's wore out a little bit. I'm peeing in the wind, guys. I'm peeing in the wind. All right, going in. So I always turn the rotor button so that it's facing like the 7-cylinder. That's not, I mean, that would have dropped in nicely if my oil pump is in the right spot. But if you kind of face that button like right here, when you drop it in, it'll rotate over and be pointed at the 1-cylinder. That's all I'm saying. I'm a little off right now, but if it went all the way down, it'd have been good. Sometimes you can wiggle it enough to get it to move the oil pump rod flat across. instead of at the angle. Yep. Let's just get in there. I don't know. Oh, bingo! Yahtzee, she fell into place. Okay. All right, distributor dropped down in, pointed at the 1 cylinder. That's not so hard, is it? All these guys don't know how to set a distributor in. I know some of these guys never seen a distributor. Some of y'all watching are saying, man, you should just do fuel injection. Wrong again, little buddy. Wrong again. Oh. All right, the cap is on. We'll flip this over right here, right now. And now I'll start swapping these wires onto that cap. And then we're moving on to the cobble water. Something else, I don't know. We got to do stuff to that. Then just one step at a time. Let me get out of here first. Yeah. So now that we got this correctly set at a base tune, and I even trimmed down my carb studs all the way around so they weren't in the way of the idle screws. Pretty slick. So I thought, let's not spend more money to test on a spacer that we bored out, in the backyard. Let's just keep it cheap and put it back together like we had it, where it ran and everything was good, and then dial it in from there. So that's where we're left here. We're going to put the nuts back on, washers. I think I might have went a little low on that one. I'm going to have to probably throw some Loctite on it. I'm going to put the nuts and bolts back on, and we'll be back in a second. All right, the last nut tightened up on the carb. I know, we didn't have to get into it this time. I think that's good. Some of you might be upset. I'm okay with that. I didn't want to have to get into it. All right, let's get this on here now without cross-threading it. And then what are we doing? Put the air cleaner back. Oh, I got to hook up all the, what do you call that stuff over there? The thing that makes it go vroom vroom. The throttle linkage. I got to hook that back up and then change the plugs. All right, we got the carb back together. Everything's tightened down and on. And now we're going to get our coil. Got our sweet Edelbrock coil. Paid for it. We have no sponsorship with them. I did get it through the OO. Oh, really? Can't believe you spent that much. Ow! And now I'm going to change plugs. I left all the boots loose so that I could get in here and get rid of these old Champions. They were 40 years old in the Cadillac when I bought it on the floorboard, brand new in the box. So of course I used them. Probably a bad call. Now we're going to go back with Delcos. These are R44 XLSs. The Champions were RN12YC. So this is close to that plug. I think it's a little hotter than the Champion. And I was thinking about NGKs. They're made in Japan. Delcos are factory GM plugs made in China. And, well, I thought the Chinese haven't done nothing to me but be communist. And it is a Delco design. Chinese are making it. Japanese who make NGK, well, they attacked Pearl Harbor. Why would I want to give them my money? But I don't know. I hear it's a better plug, so I might give it a shot. Just conflicted, I mean, what do you do when nothing's made in America? You got to pick one. You know, AC Delco used to be made in Mexico. Now, right here, I don't know if you can see it or not, made in China. Oh, there you go. There's the whole box. Made in China. Crazy. All right, let me get the other ones done and get my coil wire on. And I think we're going to hit the switch. We got to fire it up, set timing. All right, so we got everything where it should just fire up. And then we'll have to set the timing. And then let it warm up and adjust on the carburetor. Something ain't right with that. Temp's good, oil pressure, fans temp, low on fuel. I don't know what's going on with the tach. It's having some issues right now. I'm not sure what it is. That's where it should be. About 900. All right, well, we got a lot of the bugs worked out of it at least. And we've had a little bit of driving around time. I tried to do some burnouts, but the popo was following me around. Everywhere I went, it was a Leo. But anyhow, we got everything dialed in on it, except the carb still. The carb is still a little rich on the giddy up. And again, I'm not covering this car, guys, because it's gorgeous. I'm covering it because it leaks. And I got a hole in my hood that, you know, water just pours right on the engine if I don't do this. The drawbacks to having a COS. All right. Leak free. We got low vacuum. That's the issue. Long duration, low vacuum. So when we get into idling, she don't like doing that much. She likes the wide open throttle a lot. But the no throttle thing, she's not cool with. So these birds are making a racket. I'm trying to film. All right. But I appreciate you watching. And maybe you come back. I don't know what I'm going to do next time, to be honest with you. I want to go to the track. So maybe we just take it to the track and beat on it. Who cares? We don't have to go slow there. We just wide open throttle. All right. Catch you next time.